Hi, this is Wrestling Dr. Hal Lee for Pro Wrestling Extra. And I'm here with Simon Says, and I'd like to ask him a few questions. Can I call you Simon?
Yes.
Or you want to call you Mr. Says?
Simon.
Simon,
Now, normally, Dr. Haley would be Mr. Says, but you know.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me tell you, I have done some research on you, and I'm very impressed. Very impressed. I can tell by what I've seen, some of the interviews you've done, serious interviews, that wrestling is something you really love. It really means something to you. You've paid a lot of dues to get where you're at today, and I can tell you live it, you eat it, you breathe it 24/7. It's that important, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I was trained at the FXC Pro Wrestling Academy, and the motto of the school was live it, learn it, love it. And that's pretty much since I started what I've lived my my career by, you know. And I'm not really big on doing the interviews with a lot of people because you always get asked dumb questions. But when you approached me about it, you're the first person in the 6 years that I've been wrestling that actually knew stuff about me that I'd never met in person. So I'm equally as impressed by the fact that you went out and took the time to find out facts, legitimate facts about stuff I've done. That's pretty awesome to me.
All right. Well, I appreciate. I'm a wrestler too. Used to be a retired wrestler. So I know how it is, and I want to have my information because what I want to do is give back. That's one thing I've noticed already in some of the things I've seen about you. You don't have a problem with working with some of the younger guys, offering advice. I know some of the guys have came to you and asked you questions, maybe to watch their match. And that's a mark of a veteran. I think you've earned that right to be known as a veteran.
That means more to me than you know. Like, it really does. Because I've always been a guy that, it's too many times I see these guys that have no business giving advice, these guys that were never properly trained, and they come up to the young guys, and not only do they give them wrong advice, but they talk down to them a lot. So I still now find it hard for me to come out on my own accord and be like, hey, let me tell you what you did wrong. I still have a hard time, you know. So to have a veteran that's been around and has the history and has been wrestling longer than, you know, than more than half the guys that are on the scene today, that thank you.
Well, I know you started as a manager.
Yes, sir.
And one of the reasons you started as a manager because people said, nah, you're never going to be a wrestler. Yeah, you really proved them wrong. You know what? Some of the best matches I've seen are the matches you're doing right now.
Thank you very much.
Promos, I mean, you got a great promo. Love it. Where, you know, who trained you?
I was trained at FXC Pro Wrestling Academy by Matt Bentley. We had a lot of hands coming in and out through that school. Matt Bentley, AJ Gallant was the owner of the school. Devon Dudley actually became a co-owner of the school before they opened up the Team 3D Academy, so he had a big hand in us. And like I said, it was just a big rotating door of a lot of the TNA guys would come in. And I was doing security at the time for TNA, so I became good friends with Father James Mitchell, and he's the one that trained me how to cut promos and took me under his wing manager style. So that's pretty much how I learned how to talk and how to, you know, the importance of words and the power of not only what to say but how to say it in different tones and stuff. It really goes a long way.
Yes, it does. You know, I've noticed a lot of guys talk about the psychology of a match, the psychology of working in the ring. And I think most young guys really do understand it. If you're serious about wrestling, you understand it. What I'm finding that it's lacking sometimes is storylines. You know, with so many organizations booking so many guys in different places, it's hard to get a storyline that actually carries over. And so many of the promoters are in and out of business. Can you think of a storyline that you've had recently that you really enjoyed and was able to grab onto it?
At Vintage Wrestling, I've been working for them for 3 years. They were out of Sanford, Florida, and actually for the last year, from last June, I would say from last June until a month ago, I've been feuding with Milo Beasley down there. He's a homeless guy. He does the bum thing. And me doing the Says Enterprises and you know, being, you know, having money and being refined and smart, people latched onto it because it was such a clash of different lifestyles. And, you know, me belittling him and telling people, you know, he represents you, where I represent a class of people that you could never understand. You know, don't hate me because you don't know what it's like to live the lifestyle of someone that doesn't have to pay for their food with food stamps, or, you know, or go to a laundromat to wash their clothes. And people grabbed onto it. That's how I got my head shaved recently at a show. And I've never heard a reaction like that from a crowd when he knocked me out and shaved my head. So that was for a year. You know, being well-rounded in what's going on in Florida today, it's unheard of to have a feud that lasts a year nowadays.
Right.
With Mikey from Team 3D, same thing. At the same time, I was feuding at the Quest shows with Mikey for a year, and ridiculous reactions. People waiting for me in the parking lot. I had to leave in somebody's trunk. At one of the shows, and it's just those two places. Those feuds were both year-long feuds.
All right. Well, this is the Emerald Emperor of Professional Wrestling, the Jade General of the Ring, the Mean Green Wrestling Machine, Simon Says. Thank you, Simon. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
This is the Wrestling Doctor, Hal Lee, Pro Wrestling Extra.